Yo, what's happening? This is Shia Yashub. This is another edition of Mo Talk, where we talk sports and Mo over here. Um, I tried to let this one go. Actually, what I was doing, I'm not gonna lie, I was trying to see if the NFL was going to come back and say that they made a mistake and say that they was going to do something other than what was reported at the time. And it's obvious that they're going to let this go exactly the way that they say that it is going to go. A lot of people may say that I'm overreaching, but that's cool. I'm fine with that. There are certain things that I feel like that need to be talked about, because if they're not talked about, these type of things will continue to happen. I'm going to show you a picture here of 1967. This is at the time Kansas City Chief quarterback Len Dawson, and he is smoking a cigarette during halftime of Super Bowl I. Yep. And there are actually images of Len Dawson giving an interview, smoking a cigarette in his Kansas City Chief uniform as well. Last Monday, we were privileged to see another great performance by Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson, they hooked up with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Baker Mayfield, and Lamar Jackson did what Lamar Jackson does. He put out an excellent game, and they walked away with the win again. But during this game, there was something that happened. Check it out.
Baker Mayfield won't be disciplined by the NFL for using ZYN, a smoke-free nicotine pouch, on the Buccaneers' sideline before the start of the third quarter on Monday, according to ESPN. The outlet added that the quarterback would get a letter reminding him that he should not be using the product on the sideline, with a reminder that he could get fined for a second violation, given the league's policy against using tobacco products on the field. ESPN's broadcast captured Mayfield on the bench appearing to open a ZYN container and putting one into his mouth in the moments before the second half began during their 41-31 loss to the Ravens on Monday.
Yo, he was caught, people. Cameras everywhere in the NFL. They all over the place. There is nothing that could be done in these arenas or these stadiums that not easily be seen on camera somewhere. Baker Mayfield goes over to the sideline. He opens up a can of Zen, which is a nicotine product. It's a pouch, and he put one in his mouth, and it was caught on camera. And the fans knew exactly what it was, and they did what fans do. They tweeted it out. Baker Mayfield popping Zen on the sideline. Now, the problem with this is, and the irony of this is, who Tampa Bay was playing at the time. They was playing one of the greatest quarterbacks that's in the league. People pay big money to come see Lamar Jackson when he comes to town. Lamar Jackson has been at a stellar and an elite level since he's been in the league, and he's just continuing to grow. The picture of Len Dawson in 1967, that was not a big deal at all. This was acceptable at that time. I tell y'all all the time that I'm old enough to remember when people used to smoke in restaurants, right? I remember this for real. And you would go to the airport and you would see people smoke. I grew up in the time where people literally smoked in their houses. I had an auntie and an uncle. I didn't like going over there. I can't remember what he smoked, but she smoked Benson and Hedges. We call them bitches and hoes. That's what we call them. That's what she smoked. And they were chain smokers, man. And they smoked back and back. Put one out and light another one. And this is how they smoked in the house. But this is 2024. Times have changed. We don't have that liberty anymore. We don't live in that same type of era anymore. Players can't sit on the sideline and smoke cigarettes, even though that they're grown. Rules are put in place for several reasons. Our parents would give us rules when we were growing up to protect us from certain things that we may get ourselves into, or to protect us from others that are out there. They'll tell you, hey, this is the key for you to get into the house. When you come home, you lock the door and don't you open that door for nobody. Okay? That's what my mama used to tell me, not even Jesus Christ himself. Why? Why did she give me that rule? And I followed that rule. She gave me that rule because that was a rule that she put in to protect me. But then you have corporations who put rules in, not so much to protect the players from harm, but to protect their image. And in 2024, I'm going to say that the ban of using nicotine products on the sideline, especially in the way the generations are today, that's a rule that's put in place to protect the image of the NFL. Now, the problem with breaking rules, whether you're breaking rules that are put in place to protect you or to protect the brand, is that when you knowingly break these rules, that is a sign of disrespect. Disrespect. I know what the rules say, but this is what I want to do, and I'm going to do it anyway. And when you do what you want to do, which is cool, okay, because we all have the right to choose. You can do what you want to do, but how I teach my children and how we all should teach our children, and something that we all should know, is that there are consequences to all of our actions, whether good or bad. If you execute a play properly, you're going to get a proper return on that, whether it be a first down, whether it be a touchdown. But when you don't execute it the way that it was designed to be executed, you're going to get a negative reaction, whether it be a loss of yards or a turnover. So when you break the rules, there should be consequences to that. Now, this is the NFL's policy as follows. Players and other club and league employees, including game officials, must not use alcohol or tobacco products while in the playing field area or while being interviewed on television. Further, NFL policy prohibits the use or presence of alcoholic beverages, including beer, in club locker rooms at any time during preseason, regular season, or postseason, including during the practice week and on game day. The NFL policy also bans smokeless nicotine pouches, which would include Zen. Mayfield could be suspended, but because it currently isn't a huge issue, he is more likely to be fined. Okay. So, fine. Okay. Yeah. Some type of punishment, right? Either you get fined or you get suspended, right? Or we could go as far as to do both of them. Why? Because you broke the rules. There should be some type of punishment that comes with breaking the rules. This is why we put the rules in place. We put the rules in place for you to stay within the guidelines. And if you step outside the guidelines, then bam, okay? We got to deal with that. Shot collars. You could go only so far. This is how you train a dog not to go out the yard, right? You don't want the dog to go out the yard, so you put a shot collar on him, and the shot collar will activate when the dog walk too far out the yard. The dog come back in. He's safe, right? Why? Because he broke the rules. Baker Mayfield went to the sideline, pulled out a patch of Zen, and put it in his mouth. And it was caught on camera. Then it was blasted on social media, so now the whole world knows it. Now, here's the problem. Gina Lane from ESPN, she was told from league sources that Baker Mayfield would not receive punishment for using Zen on the sideline. Zen is a nicotine product, and nicotine is prohibited by the NFL on the sideline and in interviews. The NFL said that Baker Mayfield is going to receive a letter to remind him of this. That's a whole problem, people. Whole problem. I mean, if it's good for Baker Mayfield, it should be good for the rest of the NFL then, right? Oh, so this is what we doing now? This is how this should be looked at. You got to set examples to let people know and understand that you're not playing about what it is that you say. What type of parent are you when your child break your rules and instead of you getting on that tail for breaking a rule, you be like, look, okay, I'm just going to remind you that this is what you're supposed to do. That would get your child hurt. Look, here's the key. When you get home, go in the house, lock the door, don't open the door for nobody. You get a knock at the door, who is it? Oh, I got candy. You got candy? Yeah. I give you some if you open the door. Open the door, kid get kidnapped. Kid get hurt. Kid get killed. Why? Because the kid broke the rules. So if you find out that the kid did open the door for one of their friends because a neighbor said, look, Anthony was in the house and I seen him open the door for his friend and they were standing out on the porch talking. You come home and you get in that tail. A discipline should come with that, especially if you have other children. Why? Because they will see what happened to Anthony, and they don't want that to happen to them. Now, if you don't do nothing to Anthony, what that's going to cause the other kids to do for us? I know that's what mom and daddy said, but obviously they didn't mean it because did nothing happen to Anthony. This is where we at now. I know it's a lot of people saying, man, these are grown men. They can pop nicotine pouches if they want to. They grown. Yeah, you're right. They are grown. They are above 18 years old or 21 years old. I don't even know what the legal age is for nicotine and tobacco products, but there's a rule in place, and the rule prohibits it during games, on the sidelines, in the club rooms, during preseason, regular season, or postseason. And I'm more than sure that Baker Mayfield knows this, and he disregarded it and did it anyway. And not only did he do it, he was seen in the act. Not only was he seen in the act, he was seen in the act and it was blasted on social media. Now the parent, which is the NFL, says, we're going to write him a letter and remind him that that's not good. Now Zen, the owner of Zen, which is a Swedish company, they also had something to say about it and how they don't condone the actions of what Baker Mayfield did. But the whole thing here is that Baker Mayfield is not going to receive any type of punishment. Could have gave him something. Even if you didn't want to fine him $1,000, fine him $500, there has to be some type of a punishment. I can guarantee you that if Lamar Jackson had been seen on the sideline putting a pouch of Zen in his mouth, every major sports media outlet would still be talking about it today. It'd still be being talked about. And if the NFL came and said that we're going to send Lamar Jackson a letter to remind him that he can't do that, every sports media outlet reporter would have been up in arms about that. They'd have been saying the same thing that I'm saying right now about Baker Mayfield. that they're setting a bad example going forward. So this is how we're going to be, NFL. We're just going to start sending out letters for breaking the rules. When you sending out fines every week to players because they got the wrong type of socks on, or their towel is too long, or they got the wrong color shoestrings in their shoes. You're sending fines out to these players when this man sit on the sideline, and we know, and the reason why is, to protect your brand, but also you don't want to see children. You don't want children to see your players doing these types of things that's going to influence them, right? Because these are luminaries. These are stars. They're influencers. So you got to protect what it is that your younger generation see. And he was caught on the sideline putting Zen in, and it was blasted on social media. But we're just going to send him a letter. What y'all think? Y'all think Lamar Jackson would have received that same type of punishment if that had been him? Y'all think that the NFL would have just sent him a letter if that had been him? I don't think so. I really don't. Y'all talk to me. This is Moto. Y'all have a blessed day.